All right, get this. Today, we are diving deep into how Java makes decisions.
Decisions.
I like it. You've brought some code from W3 Schools and Geeks for Geeks
We have.
to help us break it down. And you know what? You're going to love this.
I think so.
We're talking if this, then that, the logic behind everything.
Everything.
From websites to apps to who knows what else.
It's everywhere.
You even brought an example about movie tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Which is going to be perfect to actually like visualize this stuff in action.
That's a good one.
But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Sure.
let's talk Boolean data types. What are those?
Okay, so think of a Boolean as a simple yes or no switch.
Okay.
It can only be true or false.
Makes sense.
Just like a light switch is either on or off, right?
Like on or off? I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like the most basic kind of decision is something true or false.
Exactly.
W3 Schools uses the example, is Java fun true?
Mm-hmm.
I like to think they're asking the real questions there.
Well, whether Java is fun is subjective, I think.
Okay, fair.
But it highlights how a program might store and use this true or false information.
Right, because the code needs a way to figure out, okay, what do I do next?
Yes.
And that's where these Boolean expressions come in, right?
Yeah.
It's like the code is asking a question.
It is, yeah, precisely. You can almost think of it like a filter.
Okay.
So imagine you have, I don't know, a bowl of fruit, right?
Okay.
And you only want to eat the apples.
Right.
A Boolean expression is like saying, is this piece of fruit an apple?
Okay.
If it's true, you eat it. If not, you move on to the next piece of fruit.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So you're filtering out, you're saying, is this true?
Exactly.
Okay, next.
Yes.
Okay, I eat it.
Yeah.
I like it. So how does the code actually act on that information, though?
So that is where these if-else statements come in.
Okay.
And you can think about this like those flow charts, you know, where you follow different paths based on your answers.
I love a good flowchart.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm trying to make a decision.
Yeah. So if a condition is true, then the code does one thing. Let's see, it does something different.
Okay.
That's the basic premise.
Gotcha. Both W3 Schools and Geeks for Geeks have code examples showing this in action.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I notice Geeks for Geeks breaks it down step by step, almost like a recipe.
It's very helpful to visualize it that way because the code starts at the if statement and checks if the condition is met. And if it is, it'll execute that block of code and move on.
Okay.
If not, it jumps down to the else block.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like it's following a set of instructions, but those instructions can change depending on the situation.
Exactly.
It's kind of cool when you think about it. Like that's basically
It's dynamic.
it's dynamic. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
But before we get to those juicy code examples,
Oh,
I think it's time to bring in the movie tickets.
okay.
You know I love a good real-world application.
Absolutely. It's the perfect scenario for this because we're essentially going to walk through the logic a ticket booth might use
Oh, I like this.
to calculate the price for each customer.
This is good. This is good.
Yeah.
I'm already invested.
Okay.
Okay, I'm picturing myself at the front of the line.
Okay. You're there.
Ready to buy my ticket. What's the first thing the code needs to know?
It needs to know your age.
Of course.
Right. So let's say the first if statement checks. Is the customer's age greater than or equal to 18?
Okay, so right away it's using a Boolean expression.
It is.
Is this statement true or false?
Right.
And depending on my answer...
The code will send you down the right path.
Oh, this is exciting. Okay.
Let's say, you tell them you're 15.
Okay, which means that first if statement is false.
Right.
So the code is going to...
It's going to jump to the else if statement. Exactly.
Else if.
Else if. And this is where things get interesting because we might have multiple else if conditions to check. So the first if statement ruled out adult.
Right.
But now the code needs to figure out if you qualify for a child, teen, or senior ticket.
Oh, okay, so there's even more options.
There could be.
Okay.
Yeah, there could be, all sorts of different
Makes sense.
price points and things like that.
Okay, so it's like the code is narrowing down the possibilities with each check.
Exactly.
It's like it's getting smarter.
Well, in a way, that's kind of how it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, am I an adult? No. Okay, well, am I a child?
Right.
Let's say the next else if asks, is the customer's age less than or equal to 12?
Right.
Since I said I'm 15, that's another false, and the code moves on.
Exactly.
So it's looking more and more like I'm paying full price here.
Possibly.
But I know some theaters have student discounts.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Does the code factor that in?
This is where we encounter a really cool concept called a nested if-else statement.
Nested if-else.
Yeah.
That sounds intense.
A little bit, yeah.
It's not like a decision within a decision.
You got it.
Okay.
You're exactly right. It's like saying, okay, we know you're not an adult or a child.
Right.
But are you a teenager and a student?
Oh.
Right. That second part.
Okay.
Checking their student status.
So there's like a whole
That's
other...
sometimes in the nested decision.
Okay, so it's like the code goes a level deeper.
Exactly.
It's like opening a secret door to ask more questions.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good one.
It's like, wait a minute, I have a secret password.
Yeah.
Can I get in this way?
Yeah, exactly.
And this is where things get really powerful because we can create very specific
These are flexible, right?
conditions, for different scenarios.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's look at how both W3 Schools and Geeks for Geeks lay out their code for this.
Sure.
W3 Schools keeps it pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Geeks for Geeks gets a bit more, shall we say, elaborate.
A little more involved.
Yeah. But before we dive into the code itself,
Okay.
you mentioned something called the ternary operator.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It sounded like a shortcut.
It is.
And who doesn't love a good shortcut?
Exactly.
What is that?
So the ternary operator is a thing of beauty
Okay.
because it lets you condense an if-else's statement into a single line of code.
Wait, a whole if-else in one line?
That's right.
That sounds almost too good to be true.
It's true.
Okay.
It's true. So, let's say you wanted to just determine if someone was old enough to vote.
Okay.
With a traditional if-else, you'd have multiple lines of code checking their age and all this.
Right.
But with the ternary operator, you can write it like this. Is eligible to vote age 18. True, false.
Okay. My brain might be breaking a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little dense.
Trying to parse that. Can you walk me through it?
Absolutely. So we're setting a variable called is eligible to vote.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
Then we have our condition, age 18. The question mark asks, is this true?
Okay.
If it is, we assign the value true to our variable. If not, the colon tells us to use false instead.
So it's like, are you old enough?
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, you're eligible.
You're eligible.
No, sorry, not eligible.
Right, exactly.
That all happens in one line of code.
One line of code. That's the beauty of it.
Oh, I'm starting to see why programmers love finding these elegant solutions.
Yeah.
It's like finding the most efficient path through a maze.
Exactly.
But before we get too lost in the weeds of syntax here,
Sure.
let's get back to our movie ticket example.
Okay.
We left off with me, a hopeful 15-year-old, about to find out if I qualify for that student discount.
Right. So the code has already determined that you're in the teen age range.
Okay.
Now it's time to bring in that nested if-else statement we talked about.
Bring on the nested if-else.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see how this code determines my fate and the price of my ticket. Okay, so the code knows I'm 15, which puts me squarely in that teenager category.
Right.
Now it's time to figure out if I get that discount, that coveted student discount.
All right.
What happens next?
So now that nested if-else statement we talked about, it takes center stage.
Okay.
Remember, it's like a mini decision tucked
Yeah.
inside the larger one.
Okay.
And the code essentially asks, is this customer also a student?
So it's like the code is saying, prove your dedication to education, and I'll lower the price.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Okay.
So if at that point you were to whip out your student ID,
Right.
the code would see that and be like, okay, we're going to apply the student discount,
Nice.
calculate the lower price, and you're good to go.
But if I'm like, no, I'm just trying to sneak in a full price teen.
Right. Then the code would be like, nope, you're getting the regular teen price.
It's really elegant when you think about it.
It is, yeah.
Like this same logic,
Mm-hmm.
this combination of Booleans and if-else statements.
Yeah.
This is happening all around us
All the time.
in the digital world.
Yeah, it's the backbone of so much of the technology that we use every day, right?
It really is. I never even...
Like those online shopping carts we talked about, remember?
Yeah.
They use this kind of logic to figure out discounts, shipping costs, even like what products to recommend to you
Oh, that's true. Based on
what you're looking at, your past purchases, all that stuff.
It's like Java is secretly controlling my life.
Well, maybe not your entire life.
Okay.
But it's everywhere, you're right.
Everywhere.
Think about like personalized recommendations you get on Spotify or Netflix.
Right.
Those are driven by algorithms that are built on this very same foundation of logic.
So interesting.
Analyzing tons and tons of data
It's amazing.
to make decisions about what to show you.
It really is. I never realized how powerful these seemingly simple concepts really are.
Mm-hmm.
It's like learning a secret code.
It is. It's like a secret code.
That unlocks a whole nother understanding of how the digital world works.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. And the more you understand these basic building blocks,
Yeah.
more you start to see those patterns and the logic behind everything.
It's true. It's true.
It's pretty cool.
So to wrap things up, we went from, basic true or false statements
Mhm.
to understanding how Java uses those statements to make these really complex decisions.
Complex decisions, yeah.
All thanks to if-else statements and their nested counterparts.
That's right.
And let's not forget the ternary operator,
Oh, the ternary operator.
our shortcut for streamlined decision-making.
Love it.
This deep dive has been a wild ride.
It has.
I feel like I need to go look at some code now
Yes.
and try and spot all these concepts in action.
I highly recommend it. You might be surprised what you start to recognize.
I think I will. But for now, I think I've had enough mental gymnastics for one day.
Understandable.
Thanks for joining me on this fascinating deep dive
It's a good pleasure being here.
into the world of Java logic.
Until next time.